Good morning, students. Today we'll talk about the different experiment conducted in the field of social psychology. So if we take into the history of social psychology, it's really hard to know what is the first social psychology experiment. But if we consider a few of the earliest one, what we know, Indiana University professor known as a Norman Triplett conducted one of the first social psychology experiment in the year 1897. While examining the cycling records for the 1897 season, he noticed that bicycle riders who competed against other performed better compared to those competed uh, against within themselves. Triplett proposed that the presence of another rider in the competition releases a competitive instinct in an individual which increases nervous energy and thereby it enhances individual's performance. Triplett tested his hypothesis by building a competitive machine. What was the competitive machine? So he had 40 children whom he asked to wind up the reel. So fishing reel was there. So the children, simple experiment it is, they wanted to roll the fishing reel as fast as possible. So he put the children either in groups in a one time or alone. They wanted to perform rolling this fishing reel and asked them to perform this simple task. The children that were in the group performed more quickly, more accurately, for example, than the children who told to reel fishing when they were alone. So, this concept of being pushed by those around us in a social facilitation can be seen beyond those lab experiment and cycling. Okay, so this gave the conclusion that in a timed trials for track or in the field events, those who were racing with the other people generally push themselves harder compared to those who were running alone. So this discovery can be applied to day-to-day life also, that is our workplace, where adults work harder when they are competing against each other than competing within themselves. This is one of the first experiment by Norman Triplett, which gave us the people will perform better if they are competing with the other individual. Similarly, the other famous experiment known as Solomon Asch's conformity experiment. In this second experiment, what happened? A Solomon Asch social psychology experiment psychologist asked the participants to compare the different line with the standard line. So initially he shown one standard line and he asked the subjects to compare this standard line with the other three lines which is given as a stimulus. So there was one participant who is actually a subject, whereas the other were simply they are the part of this experiment. So they just pretended as a one of the subjects in this study. So only one person was the exact subject over there. The other 4-5 people who were there in this experiment were a part of the experiment. They know what is going to happen in future. So what happened? Solomon Asch later showed one standard line and asked the other people to compare this one with the other three different lines. Initially, first three cards they compared with the standard line, they give the appropriate result. That standard line is as similar to the line A, or standard line is same as a B, C, like that one. They compared and they gave the appropriate answers. Later in the next further cards, what they did, the people who were there in the experiment gave the wrong answers. Wrong answers means if the standard line is a 3 inch, so the other three lines which is shown along with the standard line were infrequent, the lines were in a different lengths. So the people gave the wrong answers to this standard line. They told that the line A, which is shorter than the standard line, as a appropriate one, which is according to the standard line. So when the other people give the wrong answers, the one who exactly seated in the experiment as a subject also gave the wrong answers, thinking that people in the group might have answers appropriately, so he might have thinking wrong. So subsequently for other cards also, the other people in the experiment gave the wrong answer. The original subject also gone with them, he also gave the wrong answer. So this gives the evidence that if we in the society will try to be confirm, or we want to confirm with the other people answers, rather than even though we have strong urges that the answers or the reality is something else, not to get avoided by the group of people. Sometimes we give or we go with the flow, what we call go with the flow. We'll also go with the other people's answers. We agree that what they are telling is appropriate and that one is a correct one. Okay. So there's the two different social psychology experiment conducted earlier days. Okay, we'll come up with a new topic in the coming slides.